The fairy tale Hansel and Gretel has French roots. It's the story of Tom Thumb who gets lost in an eerie house, and the menace is a male giant. Only in the Brothers Grimm version, the French cannibal becomes the German witch.
"Creep inside," said the witch, "and look whether the heat suffices to bake bread." But Gretel realized what she was up to and said, "I don't know how to do it." "Silly goat," said the old woman. "The opening is big enough, you see. I would fit in myself." She crept toward it and stuck her head into the opening. Gretel pushed her into the oven, shut the gate and locked it. Then the witch started to cry, very weirdly, but Gretel ran away, and the godless witch burned miserably.
Also das ist ganz konsequent in Grimms Märchen durch die Überlieferung, nicht durch die Brüder Grimm. Staatsverräter werden gevierteilt, Hexen werden verbrannt, Diebe werden gehängt. Das ist genau nach der Carolina, also die spiegelbildliche Bestrafung. Und sie wären ja nun ihrem Ideal untreu geworden, das ausgerechnet zu streichen oder zu mildern und sagen, nee, das ist eben die Realität früherer Zeiten, die auch in die Märchenaufnahme findet.
In Hansel and Gretel, the stakes of the great European witch hunt shine through. During this hunt, in the 16th and 17th centuries, some 60,000 people died. The Brothers Grimm were often reproached for reflecting this cruel reality. Their fairy tales are even associated with a far worse persecution in the attempt to explain the unexplainable.
Also ich meine, das Märchen von Hänsel und Gretel ist natürlich für uns Deutsche ein sehr schwerer Stoff. In der polnischen Rezeption der Kinder- und Hausmärchen nach 1945 hat es durchaus Gleichsetzungen gegeben, die gesagt haben, das Verbrennen der Hexe ist gleichzusetzen mit den Krematorien in Auschwitz und anderswo in Polen. Und man hat die Kritik am Faschismus, die sehr stark auch auf die deutsche Kultur, auf die Wurzeln der deutschen Kultur dann rekurriert haben. Das hat man sehr stark auch am Thema Grimm versucht festzumachen, und es gibt also durchaus eine Reihe von Zeitungsartikeln, die das Verbrennen der Hexe in Grimmschen Märchen ebenso verallgemeinert als einen Charakterzug der deutschen Kulturgeschichte sehen, eben von Grimm bis zu Hitler.
The idea that the Brothers Grimm were the forerunners of Adolf Hitler is untenable. The Grimms think national but not nationalistic. They don't advocate the superiority of the Germans, but their independence. Yet their ideas are often used and misused later on. The search of the Grimms for the old Germanic witch has a strong echo. This is particularly dramatic during the Nazi rule. Whatever happened in those days is a most mysterious chapter in the history of the Third Reich. Only at the end of the Second World War do the first traces come to light.
On the 12th of January 1945, the long-anticipated offensive of the Red Army started to finally free my Polish home country. A few days later, our troops could cross the Wisła River. The Germans fought like devils, yet they could not accomplish anything against the superior strength of the Soviet troops. The Red Army had only seized the area around Schlesiersee several hours ago. This is where the exiled Polish government sent me directly, on the front line. We knew that vital documents of the German State Security Office were stored here. We also knew the secret names of the Operation Brabant I. The strictly confidential files might contain decisive war information. As a civilian librarian of Poznan University, I thus ended up amidst the horrors of war. yet I had by no means been prepared for what I was to see.
The library and the confidential files of the SS Reich's leader Heinrich Himmler are stored in Slough, the former Schlesiersee. In the last days of war, the SS tries hectically to destroy any evidence of what they've done. At the last moment, the Germans have tried in vain to burn the archives. 140,000 books and documents are preserved in Schlesiersee. The findings of the Polish librarian are explosive and mysterious at the same time. Time and again he comes across a word that does not seem to fit into the present times. The word witch.
In the files I found dreadful reports on tortured witches. These women had died centuries ago. I tried to understand why the SS had saved these documents. The thoughts horrified me that the SS had inspired themselves for their own bloody work.
The Polish librarian discovers tens of thousands of index cards. They contain the names of witches and hangmen, informers and judges. The methods of torture are meticulously listed, as well as the extorted confessions and the type of execution. The librarian believes he's found a section of the SS that systematically applied the torture methods of past times in the concentration camps. The secret services of the Eastern Bloc states deal with the mysterious files after the end of the war, with no result. Afterwards, the Nazis' witch archive for a long time fell into oblivion. Only in recent years have scientists started to bring to light the darkness of the legendary Special Task Force. This longing reaches back to the beginnings of the industrial age in the 19th century. The technological progress is accompanied by a complete reconstruction of society. The speed of this development takes a breathtaking and sinister course. Progress turns into a Moloch. It causes a de-individualization of humans. It does not only free mankind, it also detains it, in factories, in grey tenement houses. The more modern a society, the higher the interest in the fairy tale witch and her mystical origins.
I think it's one of the first things to realise is it isn't a sudden resurgence, and that those stories about witches and ghosts have always been simmering beneath the surface, and they've always been part of the, the peasant folk tradition from below. So I think that there's certainly from above, if you like, if you want to look at it from above and below, there is suddenly an increased interest in trying to recapture something of an older folk tradition, and then the question is really why is that, why at that point in time? Well, I think there are several different strands to this, one of which is certainly industrialization, the development of commercialization of European culture, and at the same time perhaps leaves educated people sometimes feeling that there's a bit of a spiritual vacuum beyond that, and that maybe that that isn't everything in life.
After the end of World War I, all of Europe seems to be a grave of dead people and dead illusions. The search for past roots discovers monuments like the Extern stones in the Teutoburg forest. Nationalistically orientated Germans consider these natural structures a Germanic sacred place that was destroyed by Christianity. Occult movements are very popular all over Europe. The most momentous of these sects is founded in England under the name Wicca. This new witch religion claims to be the heir of the pagan witch cult, older than Christianity. Their followers pray to the Great Mother and to the horned god, whom the Christians call Devil. Soon they move on to Germany. The Mount Brocken in the Harz Mountains, the site of the Walpurgis night in Goethe's Faust, turns into a heathen place of pilgrimage. 1932, English parapsychologists rub blood and honey onto a goat and murmur incantations. They want to find out whether there is truth in the old belief.
But what they certainly were saying, they were entertaining seriously, perhaps as a kind of political theatre, a very anti-religious concentration of power. One of the things about the proto-nationalist or early nationalist or proto-Nazi movements in the 1920s is that they're fundamentally anti-religious.
Less harmless than the Wicca cult is the secret order of the English Satanist Aleister Crowley. In 1925, an international meeting of occultists takes place in the Thuringian Veda. Crowley has himself proclaimed world saviour and the great animal 666. This is the biblical code for Satan. The meeting was organised by German followers of Crowley. A little later, however, they changed their opinion. In their eyes, there is another man who deserves the title of a true world saviour and wizard, Adolf Hitler. Instead of Crowley, they now worship with religious zeal the charismatic and demonic leader of Hitler's party, NSDAP. Occult movements thus infiltrate the growing nationalism in the 20s.
Es ist eine interessante Melange aus Sekte, sektiererhaften Erscheinungen. Jeder behauptet natürlich von sich, den Stein der Weisen gefunden zu haben. Man pocht auf das Recht, Geschichte neu interpretieren zu müssen.
The historic witches are called upon as witnesses against Christianity, which the Nazis hate so much. The myth of the wise herb women and red-haired Germanic women comes up. The church is said to have wiped out 9 million of them.
Es ist die Zeit, wo sich dieses negative Hexe aus den Grimms Märchen und diese Wanderung scheint in Deutschland auf einen sehr fruchtbaren Boden gefallen zu sein.
Matilda Ludendorff is the first woman to turn witches into a topic of nationalistic propaganda. She is the wife of the Prussian general Erich Ludendorff, who prepared the way for Adolf Hitler. The Ludendorffs want to build a Germanic anti-Christian religion. They hope for Hitler's support. But after their victory in 1933, the new leaders have other plans. Hitler stages his own Germanic hero cults, and for his new invention of history, the former companions are in his way. For Hitler, the power over Germany includes power over the past. Pagan worship of witches doesn't fit into his Germanic Middle Ages. Yet occult ideas continue to spread in Nazi ranks and gain powerful followers. On top, one of the most dreadful figures of the German Reich, Heinrich Himmler, Reichsführer SS, a mass murderer but also a spiritual maniac. He strongly believes to be the reincarnation of King Henry, who had lived in the 10th century and supposedly founded the 1,000-year realm. With the SS, the Black Knights, Himmler has the ideal machinery to pursue his obscure ideas.
Die Weltanschauung, die Himmler für die SS konstruierte, aufbaute, sollte die Religion protestantisch wie katholisch ersetzen. Er kreiert den Begriff gottlos für die Bezeichnung seiner Gefolgschaft und zwingt mehr oder weniger die Angehörigen seiner Elite, seiner Truppe aus den Gemeinschaften der Kirchen hinaus.
Himmler's SS is not only to be the Nazis' secular military elite, but also its spiritual one. The Wewelsburg near Paderborn serves the high SS leaders as castle of their order. Here Himmler concocts his secret cult under the sign of the Black Sun.